Zac, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for doing this. I know super last minute, but you were good enough to sort of set this up, have the studio place. We're doing this podcast at eBook in Bali, so amazing experience, amazing studio. Zac, let's start by just you giving a little introduction about yourself, so like the viewers know what's the background, what is Zac about. Yeah.
No, nice to be here with you. I guess my background, I've been, my professional career started in Australia. I was born in Melbourne. After, I guess, a lot of time not knowing what I wanted to do, I never went to university, never studied where all my friends or my family did. I was sort of a bit lost in my early 20s. Eventually sort of managed to find a role in sales. My mum was sort of pushing me down that route because I was always sort of chatting to people, had lots of mates, and she thought I'd do well in that. I've always been really ambitious, and so when I got into sales, I was 26 at the bottom end of the food chain at News Corp. Yeah, so I was rocking up to the sales role in a suit all day, every day, and even though it was like a call center job, everyone was looking at me like, "Who's this guy?" I think it only took me, 3 or 4 months to sort of, establish myself as the best person in that team, and that sort of, no one there was really trying to progress or had a lot of ambition, so it was quite easy to sort of stand out to someone that was really taking it serious. But the other benefit of that was that it was at a company, News Corp, that was globally recognized. We had amazing training, all the best, facilities for people to proceed. And I think the other thing is with that business, because it was such a massive, well-known business that was so established, and everyone that wanted to advertise was using them at one point. So they were reaching more unique Australians every day than Google and Facebook. So it was a good company to work for, and because it was sort of not a dying company, but a company that's certainly transitioning to online, where they were originally print, it came with a lot of opportunities because the old sort of people that were there were sort of slowly getting phased out, and they were sort of trying to transition the business. So it created a lot of opportunity. So I spent 3 months in that job, got a new job sort of focused on account management for, sort of more larger accounts, so selling advertising. And then, within 6 to 12 months moved into another role, and, another 12 months moved into another role, and sort of became one of the best salespeople there in Australia. So they had 700 people. I was in the top few. Sort of at that point, I'd always wanted to be in tech. And at that time, I decided to move over to London to get involved in their tech scene. And I joined a really early stage startup called Fault Fixes. So it's just me and the 2 co-founders. So it was a good opportunity to sort of, just learn all the ins and outs of a business. I remember just being so shocked at, coming from a company like News Corp where they had every resource you can imagine. You want anything done, there's a person for that. To starting the sales role with them, and when I finally had someone I needed to sell to, I was like, "Oh, what contract do I send them?" They're like, "Oh, I don't know, make one." And it's just a really good experience from a tech point of view, just seeing going from such an established, well-run business to a circus, And so, but that's what a startup for many businesses is, right? That's reality. Everything you just have to do it yourself. So, loved that as well. Loved the madness of it. Loved the, got to really influence that business as well. So we're going out in the early stages, talking to clients, understanding what they wanted to build, and then going out and building it. Worked with 2 really talented people, Tom and Amy, who Tom's still there and running the business successfully today. And after about 12 months of working with them, I got an opportunity to work at a company called Bark, which was like an online professional service marketplace. So they're trying to become the Amazon of professional services. They're in quite a few countries around the world now, so some of your viewers may know about them. But essentially, when I joined that business, I said to the 2 founders, "Look, I want to join the business, and I want this to be my last stop. This is my last stop before I create my own business." I was already really close to doing it then, so I just said to them, "I don't, just let me make you money," kind of thing, and give me a lot of exposure to all the things you're doing. So they were probably doing about 8 million revenue annually at that point. So they're starting to make a little bit of traction, but the business itself was, I think the culture had room for improvement. When I joined, there was a lot of people that would come and go, and be like, "Who was that guy? Where's that guy from last week?" The first role I had with them, they were just sort of like, "We need someone. We're happy for you to sort of move into sales and build out our sales team." They had no sales team, but we need someone to help us with, the quality testing of what the developers were building before they release it. was actually also really good exposure for me. So I did it for a month or two. I had no idea what I was doing, and also had to try and make an impression on them for them to trust me. So it was a bit of an awkward position, but yeah, really, really good opportunity to join them. And so yeah, got through that stage, and then sort of was harassing the CEO to let me go, just make you money, and start building out the sales team. So yeah, had a lot of success doing that. Built out the sales team, and yeah, we scaled the sales team to sort of 18 in the first 18 months probably. Launched a new office in Australia, my hometown in Melbourne. Hired one of my best mates, who's also the best person I could have hired for the role in Melbourne, who's still running the sales there now as general manager of Australia and APAC, the whole region. And yeah, and the business has had a lot of success, and I left there in 2022 in May when we sold, I think, for about £250 million. So yeah, I had a little bit of equity from that, and that sort of gave me the freedom to start my own thing. And yeah, I took a bit of time off after Bark, and yeah, now I'm building out my own social network for foodies. So the idea being that people review dishes instead of restaurants, so it works a bit like a search engine. You can find the best version of whatever you're looking for, or you can be at a restaurant and sort of open up the app, and it will have ratings of every dish before you order, photos. It learns what you start ordering and liking and what you don't like, so it makes suggestions to you based on how you order. It'll show you what your friends ate and what they rated it. And so the idea is really we can start helping people always order the best thing. There's a lot of things out there that are like focused on where to eat. This is focused on where to eat, but also what to eat when you're there. So gives us a lot of opportunities to create really targeted advertising. So for restaurants, we're doing like an automated way for them to reach new clients, which is obviously a lot of my background is advertising sales. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now.
Wow, that seems like so much experience. Like for a 26-year-old, I feel like my career is like just starting now. But I think it's going to be super insightful, taking into consideration all these experiences. What I want to focus a little bit on is the kind of people that we have in Bali today, which is basically digital nomads and the things that they're facing, talking about challenges, stuff like that. So I want to know, like, with this startup that you're building, how is it that you have set up your business or your time in order to build the company while manage like your personal life here or staying away?
Yeah, I think for everyone's different, right? And for me, I know that I'm most productive from in the mornings, right? And so I get here we're at eBook in Bali, I think you mentioned that. I get here at 8 every morning and smash out, I have a coffee, and I know that from 8 till 12, that's where I always do my hardest tasks. Okay. So I try not to, all my calendar's always diarized in a way where, hard tasks are in that block. And then after lunch, I'll smash out another 3 or 4 hours. But typically I'm most productive in the mornings, and then I do work weekends as well, because I know that Saturday, Sunday, even if I just do 3 hours, those 3 or 4 hours that I'll do will be super productive. So I think for me, it's a lot of how I try and structure my day is around, I have like a spreadsheet that has a goals tracker on it. And it's like, these are the things I know that make me happy. And, for me, part of that is being really productive at work. So I have, I want to make sure I get to this many hours, over this week. And I sort of track it all every day. So for me, it's a balance of things, am I doing enough exercise? Am I eating well? Am I, working hard enough? And to me, if any of those start falling out of balance, the others often do too. So I'll start eating, shit food, or eating lots of sugar, or, not going to the gym, or not feeling motivated, and then not doing enough work. And so for me, I've just realized how tied they all are to one another. And so having a bit of a way of tracking it not only helps me feel like stay accountable, but also gives me a really transparent way of understanding where my life's at, as silly as that sounds. Yeah, because I spent a lot of time working out what makes me happy, and now that I know, it's like, okay, well, if I know what makes me happy, I just need to set goals around making sure I'm doing them, put it in my calendar. So each week, I've got those sort of weekly goals of, exercise, diet, work hours, all those sorts of things. But then I'm also have longer term goals of, I want to get the business to this point by this period, or I want to, paddle for me, playing a bit of paddle. I want to get to this level by this time. And so I'll put that in my goals down the bottom, and they'll be like ones that keep going, and then I'll upgrade them as, months go by. So yeah.
Sweet. And what would be your like mental makeup on a day when, I don't know if that happens very often, it happens to me where I get up and I don't want to do shit?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And the way I try and focus on days like that is, coffee helps, but for me, it goes back to what am I trying to achieve? All right, I had a goal today of achieving this really hard task. It might be for my business. All right, what is our product offering? That takes a lot of mental space, and it's something I want to get right. But you know, I've come into the day trying to achieve that, and yet I'm feeling like shit. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move that to tomorrow, and you know, in that block of 8 till 12, when I know I'll be most productive, and you know, I'll try and get a better sleep tonight, which is normally the main catalyst for me not having the energy for something. So, an example of that was yesterday. I had, you know, a lot to do, and I didn't have the energy. I got a good block done in the morning, but I just started prioritizing easy tasks, like outreach to people that I know I need to catch up with, finishing my emails, So I think know what state you're in and do the things that you can do if you're not feeling like you have the energy for it. Yeah.
Okay, that's smart. Rather than not doing anything, yeah, makes sense. What would you say is the biggest pro and the biggest con of this stage of your life where you're, can you call yourself a digital nomad? Yes, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think is the biggest pro of being a digital nomad, and like one thing that really comes in its way on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. I think the biggest pro is obviously the freedom, right? Like I'm over here meeting all these people that I never would have had the benefit of meeting. I'm getting to experience Balinese culture and living in a different place. The weather's amazing, the food's amazing. It's an incredible opportunity for anyone that can afford to do it with their lifestyle. I think the cons are things like, I mean, for me, I've got a good permanent sort of setup now, like routine. I think some people do struggle with that though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, for me, even actually, I will say before I signed up for eBook, I wasn't as consistent in things where eBook for me, you know, has been really good. Like any office space, anytime anyone's thinking of, I think can be just a good, you know, helps you separate work from business and, you know, life from business. And yeah, I think that's definitely helped me have routine. And, you know, the gym as well. So there's certain times I go from work to the gym and gym to the work. And so I think just having a bit of permanence around and structure around how you're approaching things can be good, but it can easily be, you know, you could easily get lost in it, in mucking about and having fun too. So yeah, I think it depends what people are looking for, but yeah, I think that would be my advice, is still try and keep some structure. I think the other hard part is being away from your family and your friends. It's easy to make friends in Bali.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great place to make friends, but a lot of my friendships are more like brothers and sisters. So, you know, it takes time to build those kinds of friendships and relationships and find people that you feel that way about. So I think that for me is a challenge, but you know, it's worth it.
Sweet. I think this thing I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs say that like finding yourself a physical location, a desk with all the things that you need just makes it easier to turn up at work. I don't know if it's true, but I think a lot of these internet entrepreneurs are talking about it today, especially what I see on YouTube. Okay, just diverting a little bit, because you said you have a background in sales, and something I hear a lot nowadays is high ticket sales remotely, and you know, people doing like closing jobs or like appointment setting jobs, and I found that super interesting, and I wanted to try it out as well. For a newbie, someone who has zero sales experience, to go onto this journey of what they call high ticket sales, and it's apparently a big fad, but I want to know from you, like, what do you think is the ideal journey to go in order to get these like remote closing jobs or appointment setting jobs?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, I would say I'm just such an advocate for sales in general.
Okay. Yeah.
And like anyone thinking about getting into it, like do, because there's just so much money in it. For one, it's one of the industries that will be the most defensible against the incoming AI wave.
Yeah.
But it's also just such a good way for someone that hasn't studied or hasn't necessarily, I don't know, been down the traditional path of finding a career. There's so much opportunity there for you. So in terms of getting into it, and the things I would say is, the internet, there's nothing you couldn't learn that's on YouTube now that would set you up to become an incredible salesperson. And you know, go out and find a whole bunch of YouTubers, because I'm sure, or you know, TikTokers, whatever you're on, I'm sure there are many that will teach you how to sell to a really high level. And then it just becomes about you know, put yourself out there to a lot of different businesses. I think that if to answer your question specifically, the number one thing that a good sales leader looks for in a person is their ambition. And you know, I actually have a consulting business as well, where I act as sort of a fractional VP of sales for a few different high growth tech startups. And the number one thing I tell them to look for is just, yes, good communication, yes, people that are you know, good to speak with and intelligent, that all helps. But the number one thing that sets people apart is someone that just wants something for themselves, ambition. True. And so if that's your desire, let whoever you're speaking with know that, like, I'm here to be the best salesperson. I'm here to, learn and I know it's going to take me time. I want to learn, but every day I'm going to be coming to get better. And I think that's the other thing I'll say about how I became good at sales was just listening to good people and then literally trying to copy them every time. And then, every sales call, it's not about did I win the sale or did I not. It's just about did I do the right thing at the right time. And it's actually part of the approach that I teach now as well when I'm in businesses. It's just a mathematical approach of how many people am I speaking to, how many of them are the right one, how good was my messaging when I outreach to them, and then how good was my meeting with them. You know what I mean? You can really break things down. And then for a salesperson as well, it makes it easy for them to work out how to get better because I keep dropping off when I'm having meetings with people, so I mustn't be compelling enough when I'm speaking to them. I think that's how I'd look at it. The number one advice I'd give anyone is just focus on yourself. How can you get better every day? And if you keep doing that at sales, you'll get really good. And if you get really good, you'll make a lot of money. And you can work from anywhere for a lot of them.
Yeah, actually that was my second question that you just mentioned about like work from anywhere. Like, do you think, like, let's say if you're an Asian and you've got a good background or you're learning sales and stuff like that, and you want to get employed in the US, maybe for remote sales or something like that. Do you think that's a possibility? Like, I know people doing it, but I want to know like the fraction of them versus actual people from the US doing the job.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think for each business it's different. I think there's a real struggle going on between the old established, we want everyone in the office, and this new wave of everyone can be everywhere, and there's pros and cons to both. So it will depend on the business, but I think it depends on the business and the appetite to hire anywhere. I think I don't have a lot of experience hiring from Asian countries outside of, I just don't. So it's not probably something I could give you as much advice on. But I would say that there's definitely businesses that will hire people that are from Asia that will pay them a lot of money, no doubt, in sales. Okay. Right? Yeah.
And just something that we really focus on the pod in these kind of places is that, like, people listening, we want them to, like, they'll take some great takeaways from you, but let's say there is actually a guy who wants to, like, get into sales and do it, right? And he's just lost on where should he start, because for him it's a new industry. Yeah. So what are, like, the first 3 immediate steps that he can take, like, for example, like getting a right CV done or something like that? Yep. I don't know, you can tell me.
Find a CV template online. There's a whole bunch of good ones. I've used one the other week. It'd probably cost you, I don't know, $10 or something. Yeah. Send it to a few people that you know that are in recruitment and just ask them to tear it apart for you. Know that recruiters are obviously not going to spend more than 10 seconds looking at your CV. Yeah. So whatever your key point to try and get across is, get it across in the first, like, make sure that that's one of the only things they're going to see. So for you, if you're looking for a sales role, it might be, if you've got sales experience, I've smashed these sales results, these are why you should hire me, or I'm going to be your number one salesperson for these reasons. I'm an amazing communicator, I'm ambitious, I'm money hungry, whatever it is. But I think get whatever message you want across in that CV really, really short and sharp, and make sure it's clear, and make sure your CV is in a good template. This is easy to do. And then when you're ready to send out your CV, go out and start just speaking to as many as you can, right? Work out what kinds of businesses you want to work for. It might be that you're interested in tech, or you think that this is a growth area, so you're finding all these, maybe it's AI businesses, and you're like, I think this is the future and this is why. Make sure your outreach is then, clear to the business. Hey, I'm only speaking to a few businesses. These are the ones that I'm speaking to, and this is why I'm so excited about AI, ABC, right? Yeah. And so make your message to them personal. I think it doesn't hurt if you go through the typical path of applying. I think the other thing that I would say is your online reputation. So LinkedIn is important, right? And you don't need 500 connections, you don't need all of that, but you do need a good picture of yourself looking professional. You do need a good about you section that's well written and clear and concise and tells people a bit about why they should hire you. So that's the other thing I would say is important. And then it's just about, interviewing. If you're interviewing from the start, I would say that people always get better. If I look back to when I interviewed the first time, I was terrible. When I was 25, 26, first interviewing, I was a mess, terrible. But you get better at it. So the thing I would say is just, use the first few, almost apply out ones you're not interested in. Use them as practice, ask for feedback in every interview. It's a lot like sales. It really is sales. It's like you can ask them, is there anything that would stop you, or anything that you think I've said today that maybe doesn't fill you with confidence that I can be the best person for this role? What can they say to you on that? Yeah. And it's like, even you asking them that will make them realize that this guy or girl is clued in. And I think a lot of that, I was talking to a friend the other day about sales, and sales is really your ability to influence outcomes in your favor. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it. Even now that I've started this business, I'm just realizing how much it is every single facet of business is sales, right? If I want to, I'm speaking to this incredible developer, I want him or her to join my team. How do I convince him or her, right? Or, I'm out there trying to convince restaurants to partner with us to advertise at sales, or I'm doing a deal with a tech company and they're trying to charge me X amount. Well, no, I don't think that's fair because this. And so, I'm such an advocate for sales. So get into it.
Yeah, I can hear the passion about it in your voice.
Yeah.
But another aspect of this, as you also have a background in digital media and stuff like that, a lot of coaches today on Instagram hire people for them, right, to close, like high ticket closes directly from Instagram. And a lot of these kids who have no experience are reaching out in DMs to them, telling them that, I'm really passionate about, like, it's a fitness coach who's selling like $1,000 program, and then he texts them that, okay, I want to be there. What do you think that should be the approach when you want someone like that, like your attention to come from there, like you want to get that job?
Yeah, what I would do is if let's say you're selling courses on, let's say e-commerce, right? You're a guru for e-commerce, you're the best at it in the world. And you're selling courses from it, but you need people like me to close it. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I love this guy's content. I want to work for him. I think I could sell what he's doing. What I would do if it were me is I would create a full sales pitch, and I would say, hi, I'd create a video. Yeah. Might be 1 minute. These are the reasons I want to work with you. I've been following you for 5 years. I know that you can achieve this, this, and this, and this. I've seen it for my friends A, B, and C. And I would be your best salesperson because of A, B, and C, or whatever it may be. But I would actually go as far as creating a full sales pitch, or actually selling the product for it. I'd love to just even get into your business. I'm happy to work the first few days for free, or whatever it might be. The other thing I'll say to you is, like, that is so much of my young career was just working shitty jobs to work out to get good, right? Yeah, don't be afraid. Yeah. Don't be afraid to give up your time in the early stages just to learn. Like, and whether that's giving away your time and volunteering. If you're really keen on a business, I would work for free for a little bit if you can afford to, and you're in that position. Maybe it's a month. Maybe it's let me prove to you I'm going to be your best salesperson. I'm happy to work the first month or the first week for free. Really pick up your skills. And you don't have to do that. But for me, I just think if you're really keen on a role like that, or you can just spend time, spend a week really nailing your pitch. Let me show you what I can do in just a week in the first,
Okay, that gives great clarity. That's what I'm going to do today. Because actually I was looking for something like that to sort of balance the community that I'm trying to build, because obviously it's in its a new phase right now, so it's not making any money, and we need some stuff to support it. And I have a couple of hours that I want to put into even building my sales thing. I think it'll help in every aspect of life, as you said. Nice. So I think that's amazing. Okay, it's something that I already asked you, so I don't want to cover it again, is your balance between work and personal life. And you said it's really important. But it goes to a personal question that you may be able to ask because of your experience. Is that currently I'm building something that I am passionate about, because I've been in this journey of men's work and working on myself and stuff like that. But still, sometimes when I get up and I think about myself, there are other things sort of making me turn up to work every day that are not as important as the purpose of the business, which is to help guys. That can be money, that could be fame, whatever, I'm not sure. How do I keep like I think the mentality about it straight, like, okay, how do I like get up every day, turn up disciplined in order to make it happen? Even like I need a lot of motivation on some days. Like I'll see a video on YouTube and then I'll be like, okay, now I want to do it, and 4 hours of full work, and then again my energy drops. So how do you like maintain that wave?
Yeah, excuse me, the thing I'll say about that is you're in a stage at the moment where you're working out exactly everything, right? Where does the money, where's the revenue, where's the, exactly what is your message to who, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you're in that phase, just like it was for me with Kulaa, it's the hardest point to get motivated, because you spend some days wondering if you're just wasting your time. When you've got a really clear goal and it's just in front of you, it's much easier to be focused and smash.
Yes.
So what I would say is it's really normal for the phase of where you're at, and when there's uncertainty like that, it's so much harder to have a real structured routine and be focused and disciplined. But what I would say is, if you're really passionate about this like you are, just keep working at it. And what you need to do at the moment is just work out what it is that resonates with people, right? You keep speaking to people and understand, keep putting out content, what is the thing that connects with people? And once you find that, the rest will follow, and it will be a lot easier to, so what I would do then is just set goals and make sure you achieve them, right? And so if I was in your position, it might be, I want to speak to, I don't know, I want to do one podcast a fortnight, or whatever your goals are. I'm not sure how achievable that is. One goal a fortnight, one podcast a fortnight with these different verticals. It might be, you've covered some today: business, sales, whatever, spirituality, whatever your niches are, personal development, growth, challenges, what are the things that you've overcome, whatever it may be. But once you've then got a whole body of different podcasts, how do your audience then react and listen to them, and what sort of resonates? And then what does resonate, I'd then be going, starting to prioritize. How can you get more guests like that? How can you get the next level up from that? The other thing I would say, and this is probably an obvious one, is who are the people that you can work with in this space that are going to really elevate your community and your podcast? Who can you collaborate with? Who can, that's the easiest way for, and you see every big influencer or podcaster, they always have other guests on that have podcasts, and there's a reason they all sort of leverage each other's networks. It just sort of
course.
Anything you can do in that space would be good.
I think that's solid advice. Also, we're going to talk later on the community, but I'm going to scratch your brain about it. So that's going to be perfect. I don't want to keep you long in terms of this, so I want to ask you one last question, which is, for a person who's, let's say, stuck in life, maybe a young guy or girl who's stuck in life and can't seem to figure out where they want to go professionally, versus the mindset that they have that, okay, in the next 6 months, in the next year, I want to hit my income goals. Let's say that's $5,000 or $10,000 per month, I don't know. From the period of this feeling of being stuck to hitting that goal, what are the top 3 things according to you they can do in order to make that journey quicker?
So I think I mentioned briefly that I was completely lost to the age of 26. All my friends were making good money. I was literally a real what am I doing with my life? I think the advantage of having so many years not going down a certain career, following a certain path, studying a certain thing, is you have time to discover things, right? So work out all the things that you like doing and just start trying to do careers in them. It might be that you're interested in marketing, get a marketing role, start creating content for people, start doing things. And so I think the advantage of what the disadvantage was I spent 8 years really unhappy and worried about what I'm doing. I'm not making money. All my friends are doing this, But the advantage I now have is I spent many years working out what the best thing for me is, and now I never really, I'm doing what I absolutely love. There's nothing I could do more than what I, could bring me more fulfillment. So I think that's a real advantage for people that are in that sort of flux space. And what I would say is just try lots of things, work out what you enjoy. And then if you enjoy something, you're going to probably be pretty good at it. And then if you're good at it, you're probably going to make, be able to make money in it. And then, I think the other thing is just how much do you want anything, right? If there's no one that's ever really, really wanted something, if you want to make 100 grand, you can make 100 grand. The internet, there's no education that exists that isn't on YouTube now. Or, and I think I spoke to you the other day just about how good ChatGPT is now,
Yeah.
right? Like you've got a goal, so tell it, you know, you don't have to use your own name, you don't have to use your own persona. You can just say, this is a person that has these characteristics. You know, they're 35, they live in Bali, they're from Australia, they, you know, say everything about you. They want these goals, they want to achieve these goals by this time period. Create a list of books that person should read, but by, you know, what time frame. What goals should they look to achieve by what time frame? What are the careers that are most going to benefit them based on their personality of, you know, being really creative, loving outdoors, and it will come up with so much for you. And just in that stage of I don't know what I want to do, feel comfortable in that. Don't feel like you're doing the wrong thing. Feel like it's an incredible opportunity to work out what's best for you. And if you do, there's a very high chance of you finding something that you're really good at that no one else is.
I think that's sweet. Actually, I did it myself. I'd done it before as well, before the circle where you mentioned it, and I was like, that's so cool that people think this way. And what I went ahead and I did, I also wrote like what like my dream day would look like if I was doing like hitting my goals. And then it told me like, okay, you get up on the beach, your house is like across the beach, you get up happy, you meditate for a bit, then you go and put in 4 hours of work and you can see these goals happening. It was just crazy how it like literally told me what I need to be in order to get there, which was crazy. Thank you so much once again, Zac, for spending this time. If in case you want to like plug in where people could follow you, get in touch with you, want to do similar podcasts, so maybe you can tell them how to connect with you.
Yeah, I mean, on LinkedIn's probably easiest. I'm not on social media, despite the fact I'm building one. But yeah, LinkedIn, Zachary Farrington, Kulaa with a K, Kulla. Yeah. Thanks for your time too, brother.
I think that's super cool. Thank you once again. And if we have more time, we might just get another podcast in on some other topics or something.
Anytime.
That's more interesting. Maybe I'll do a poll or something asking guys like, what do you want to hear? And
we can do
it.
Sure,
so thank you so much and keep listening. Yeah.